So just a very warm welcome again to you all. As we say, my name's Rona. I'm from the Career Service and I'll be hosting our employer panel today for our business and finance session. So just a couple of housekeeping points before we get started. The session is going to be recorded, so if you don't want to keep your face on camera, just make sure you switch it off. Although we do really welcome it if you can keep your camera on, that would be great. It's really nice to talk to a room of people. So we do really encourage you just to take this opportunity just to ask the panel anything, even if it's just general kind of company info or something about the recruitment process, anything specific, you know, jump at this chance. That's what they're here for. Please do quiz them on that. Anything about kind of themselves, their journey, anything like that. You can pop that in the chat. You can stick your hand up. You can send it to me privately in the chat as well if you prefer. So that will be available all the way through the session. And towards the end, we will kind of open it up to a more open Q&A. So please do utilise that as we go along. Today, we actually have a little adjustment to this programme. We have 3 employers with us today. Unfortunately, RWE weren't able to make it. So we have Mazars LLP, RSM UK and Bakkavor with us. So we'll be going through them. You'll have a few minutes presentation from them. And as I say, we'll give a chance to have a bit of conversation later on. Okay, so without further ado, I am going to hand over to Laura, who's going to start us off with your presentation.
Perfect, thank you, Rona. I'm just going to share a little slide, not a big PowerPoint, but it's kind of helps demonstrate the point that I want to make. So I just want to double check that is this showing for you, that slideshow? Hopefully it is.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. So hi everyone, I'm Laura. I'm from Mazars, which is a professional services company. We operate across a wide range of industries and services. We've got a load of different service lines, so including audit, assurance, tax, loads of advisory and consulting nuances. I can't name them all, but you know, to name a few. So my kind of home service line is technology consulting, which I joined last year and I'm absolutely loving it. But some others we do are business consulting, risk consulting. We've got financial advisory services, you know, financial planning. We've got a lot. We've got a wide range of stuff that we do. And we've also got a lot of different areas that we cover. So as you'll see here, I thought this was just a really nice kind of show that we're not just London based, we're all over the UK. So we've got all of this, all of these different offices. I think we've got on the right here a little kind of breakdown of the firm. So some big fee incomes, but I think a key point that I wanted to make is that you don't need to just be in a certain area. We have got offices pretty much all over the country, with teams looking to recruit at kind of graduate and then experienced higher level. I think a key thing that has made me really enjoy my first bit of, you know, my first year or so at Mazars has been the culture. I feel like I'm really cared for. I feel like I've got support. I feel like I've got people who care about me and who want to help my development. And I think that really makes us stand out as a firm. So I think it's a great place to be. I guess I won't talk for too much longer, but I just quickly show you, I think everyone's always interested in, you know, kind of what is the process. I think it's quite a straightforward kind of recruitment process compared to some that I have done in the past. So we've just got like an online application, then like strengths assessment, so that kind of numerical assessment, then a kind of phone call interview, and then your final assessment centre. So not too many back and forwards. But yeah, I'll leave it there, and I guess I'll pass on to I believe it's Imogen from RSM.
Thank you, Laura. So I'm Imogen Milner from RSM. I'm in the ABA sector, and I'm in the Newcastle office. I joined as a school leaver in 2019, and I've almost completed my AAT level 4, and I'll become a qualified accountant in hopefully 3 years' time. So RSM is a leading audit, tax and consultant firm to the middle market with 3,650 partners and staff operating from 32 locations within the UK. RSM is a member firm of RSM International, and it's the 6th largest network of audit, tax and consultant firms globally. The network spans more than 120 countries with 820 offices and 48,000 people. You can work from anywhere in the country or in the world, essentially. We deliver the big ideas and services that help middle market organizations thrive. Our passion is to help clients move forward with confidence and realize their full potential. So we have 5 key values in RSM. So the first one being respect. We promote diversity and equal opportunities throughout the firm with regular seminars on diversity and inclusion, have a BAME network, an LGBTQ+ network, and many other things so we're as inclusive as possible. Another one of our values is integrity. So we stay true to our values in our decisions, commitments and communications. Another one is teamwork. So we really value collaboration in our businesses, not only within our office, but also we've made a lot of our service lines national. So we now work with a lot of different offices across the country and even across the world. I know I've done jobs for RSM Belfast, RSM Leeds, and also hopefully soon going to be doing one for RSM China. So it really has so many opportunities out there for you. The next one is excellence. So we really value quality and really invest time into our people to make sure that the work is quality and help you develop at the best rate that you can. And the final one is stewardship. So improving through our people development, diversity, building our brand and supporting our communities in many different ways. So that's our values. And then I thought the best way to sort of give you an idea of what the job consists of is to just tell you what life is like working at RSM. So we work 7.5-hour days, Monday to Friday. And as a graduate role, you will study on the side of this to gain your ACA qualification, become a chartered accountant. We've now introduced hybrid working, so we'll do some days working from the office and some days working from home, which is variable, and you can do as many days from home or the office as you like. There's often secondments to other businesses or other offices. So I've been seconded with Belfast, or you can get seconded with many types of businesses. And even sometimes they do international secondments, which is a really exciting opportunity. So there's endless opportunities at RSM to explore different places. You can see many aspects of many different types of business. We have also got the fun side, which is like social events and gatherings, which happen often. Great reward schemes to like motivate the team. And one thing that we're really big on at the moment is growing your own, which is essentially we really invest in our people, especially school leavers and graduates, to make sure that they can be the best they can be and make them managers and promote them rather than hiring externally. We'll have regular updates with our CEO. He's really friendly and gives us just exactly what we need to know. We'll have regular training across many different aspects of work and life, seminars on diversity and inclusion regularly. We had a Black History Month one yesterday, which was really insightful. There's regular support and catch up from managers, and we'll also have regular charity events such as bake-offs, litter picks, dress down or dress for your diary days, and also work closely with the DofE to help graduates and school leavers complete that at gold level. I'll just do a little chat about what vacancies we have and then I'll pass on. So in Newcastle, we have internal audit and risk assurance vacancies, which is sort of working with companies to test internal controls and ensuring risk protocols are working and are up to date. We'll have roles in personal tax, which is like preparing tax returns for individuals, sole traders, and dealing with inheritance tax. Corporate tax roles, which is like preparing tax returns for limited companies, charities and other organisations. You also work with research and development expenditure and HMRC inquiries. There's audit, which is testing figures in the financial statements and some testing of controls to ensure accuracy of financial statements and detecting fraud. And the role I work in is accounting business advisory, which has many different aspects, but is mainly preparing accounts. And we do some independent exams and much more. It's a really interesting role. Obviously, I'm going to be biased. And then nationally, we'll also have VAT assistance, capital allowance, tax assistance, outsourcing, technology risk consultants, restructuring, corporate finance, endless opportunities. So yeah, we probably have a role for everyone. So yeah, if you have any more questions on what they are, please just pop them in the chat. I can get you connected with someone who might be able to give you a bit more of an in-depth insight. But yeah, and I believe I am passing over to Cian.
Thanks so much. Cian, would you like to give us a little bit of insight from your perspective from Bakkavor? Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, so my name's Cian Short. I am the early careers manager for a company called Bakkavor. Bakkavor are a little bit different to what we've heard from the other two companies. So we're a fresh food manufacturer, but we're not just a fresh food manufacturer. We're the UK's leading fresh food manufacturer with a growing presence in China and in the US. Not a lot of people have heard of us because we don't brand our own products. We make the supermarket's own brand fresh food. So, you know, we do it across 4 main UK categories: ready meals, salads, desserts, and pizza and bread. So we've got over 2,000 products just alone in the UK in our portfolio. So I can pretty much guarantee if you've had anything from any of the supermarkets, you'll have eaten our food. You know, a couple of figures just to show the scale. If anyone's ever eaten hummus, we made it, guaranteed. We make 94% of the UK's hummus in our factory in London, so 100% we made it. And if anyone likes a profiterole, we make about 200 million of them every year. So that's how big we are. So in terms of where we are in the UK, I mean, we've got 23 sites across the UK. We're spread the length and breadth of it. We've got about 5 sites in the US and 9 in China, growing year on year in those countries and in the UK. You know, in terms of looking at the opportunities that we have in Bakkavor, you know, we're a huge multinational, multi-billion-pound company. So we need more than just food operatives. You know, we recruit everything. So placement-wise, we recruit for placements every year in finance and in food technology. They are 12 months placements, either based in Lincolnshire or London. Really, really well-established program, really successful with a pathway going on to our graduate program. And then again, our graduate program, we recruit for mid-20s numbers every year across 6 functions. So we do manufacturing, HR, finance, I'm forgetting one, commercial, sorry, food technology, and then product development. Again, you know, really, really successful program. Our graduate program is 3 years, apart from finance, which is 3.5. But we've got a really good balance in our graduate program of moving people around the sites and into central functions to get a really deep understanding of what the business does and how it all interconnects and how you turn around an order today to make 20,000 products tomorrow and get them on the shelf and get them there so you can buy them in the supermarket. The complexities it's huge, but it's very, very rewarding. So it's, you know, they're really, really great programs, great business to work for. We're huge on, you know, developing our own talent, bringing new talent into the business. I think at any one time we've probably got about 300 apprentices within the business, both existing colleagues and people who've joined us, and then about 50 to 60 graduates anytime going through their program. So yeah, it's early careers is what we're all about. So yeah, come and give us a look, because it'll surprise you if you look into what we do and who we are.
Thanks so much, Cian, and thank you all to all our panelists. That's been so insightful, just a taster, and I'm sure each panelist will tell you there's a lot more to say, but just a bite-sized snippet of what these companies have on offer, but a little bit about who they are, what they do, and the ethos behind it. And that's one thing that stood out for me there, is just hearing the support network that's behind it all, and the international and national opportunities. You know, there's more to it than just the sector you're in, right? There's a lot of different business functions there. So Just in the meantime, we've not had anyone in the chat mention anything, but please do drop your messages in, or like I say, stick your hand up and we'll be happy to answer those questions. You can send it over to me privately if you'd rather not have your kind of name or picture on screen. But in the meantime, if you're happy, I'll just ask you a few questions myself. Really interesting perspectives on that topic and where you all sit within that. Like I say, the thing that stood out for me is you all have very varied opportunities and also opportunities in different locations. So there's quite a vast amount there for students that are interested. Just from your opinion, would you say the kind of, I think it was Imogen, you mentioned the kind of day in the life. It would be nice to hear everyone's kind of perspectives on that. It's very different for each role, of course, but just to kind of really expand that ethos that you have, just to kind of hear a sample of what you can expect from a day in the life at each of your companies.
I'm happy to take it away if you'd like.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great. I appreciate it's a very broad question, but just to expand on that, because it was really giving a good taster of what it is that you'd be, to have match over the, do you want to work there and do you want, map over the candidates to the company?
And I think it's a really hard thing because I know before I started in the job, I had no idea what you would actually do in the day. So, you apply for a job, you apply for like audit or to be a consultant, but what does that actually mean? Like, what are you going to do every day? So the first thing I do every day, I have got the best notepad in the world, and the first thing I do every day, and this is the only reason I get anything done, is by looking over my notepad and going like, right, okay, what is the most important thing I need to do today? So for example, there's some documents that I need to review because I've been doing some business continuity engagements. So today, like the first thing I did was I got one of those up and I started refining my notes on it. Then I sent it off to my manager because they need to review my work to make sure that I've not made any mistakes before I send it off to a client, because I'm still quite new, and it's still quite a new area to me. After that, then I joined a team meeting. So we had a meeting with everyone in the tech team, that was about 60 people. And the partner in our team kind of took us through like the budget, what our goals for the year are, how we're doing. Obviously, so our financial year is kind of September to August. So we're only just starting on the new budgets, but he was explaining kind of how we're going to reach it. We had someone in the tech team meeting talking about like breast cancer awareness, kind of talking to the team to try and encourage people to do that. And I guess it's a little shout out as well, like make sure you check. And then what else have we done today? We've also done, so I'm involved in the women's group at Mazars. So I had a call to understand, so I'm helping develop the kind of tech balance, which is our technology gender network at the company, our strategy. We made a strategy back in April, and we feel like it's time to kind of reinvent it and get some more vigor in it. So I did that. Then I had a little catch-up call with one of the new grads that's just come in, because they wanted to know about what I'm doing, and I've kind of moved from IT audit into technology advisory. So they were asking me how I've done that, kind of who they should talk to, what the kind of processes are, what kind of work I do. I mean, it is a lot of calls. And then before this call, I was I'm writing a report for a kind of cyber due diligence engagement that I'm doing. So we had a little stakeholder interview the other day, asking them all questions about their business and about their roles. And now I'm writing up in a nice, lovely looking report. I guess that's like a whistle stop tour. The good thing, I think, at least about consulting, and I'm sorry if I don't want to speak, but I think it's probably true for a lot of kind of professional services jobs, is that it is different most days, and that's what's so good about it. And like, I would say once you get about 3 months in, even though it's different every day, you get to a point where you know what you're doing every day. Whereas when I first started, it's all so new that you're like, what is this? And like, you're constantly kind of like asking your manager what you need. But yeah, that's kind of whistle stop tour of my day.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it was a big question, but that's so fun, really insightful, and lots of nods across the panel as well. I know that you're all kind of looking at that from a very different perspective, but the kind of engagement bit where you've got various stakeholders, you're working with cross departments, you very quickly are working with a lot of different people, and it's nice to hear that. And I think this echoes throughout your whole career. So even if you're just starting, you don't know what you're doing when you first start, do you? A sharp learning curve by the sounds of it. So not to worry about that. And, you know, it sounds like the perfect environment to really kind of explore that. And if you want to have those opportunities to perhaps work with within a different area of the business, you know, going into HR at Bakkavor, you might be kind of liaising with other departments and so on. So thank you so much, really good insight, and certainly nothing I was expecting from a role like that. In the meantime, I have had a question in the chat, so I'm just going to jump in with that. It is specifically for you, Kane, if I can just grab your expertise.
Of course.
What opportunity is there with you for someone with an undergraduate in engineering and postgraduate in international business? And how would they approach that application?
Okay, so in terms of our graduate program, they'd be welcome to apply for manufacturing, HR, commercial, or finance. The only two that are a bit restrictive are food technology, food science, food technology, and product development. You need to have like a food and nutrition one. Typically, we've seen students with engineering degrees come and do manufacturing, because then it's, you know, they're around the machinery, they're working on projects, they're with engineering, you know, they're more comfortable there. But to be honest, we'd welcome them to apply for all four of those, wherever their interest lies, really. I mean, because, you know, engineering switching to international business, that might think actually is business more prevalent now, in which case I'd say maybe something like commercial. You know, commercial are that front of house people who deal with the customers and then work with product developers on briefs, and then work with sites on the figures, and work with marketing on promotions, that kind of thing. So it's quite well rounded in terms of business. I think the best thing to do is get onto our graduate page on our website. There's video interviews there with people from these functions, and they'll tell you about it way better than I can. But yeah, I mean, we absolutely welcome applications from someone with that background, definitely.
Thanks so much, Kane. And that brings up a really interesting point, actually. It's nice, you know, to know that obviously there will be some roles that have a very kind of technical specifications, and that's understandable. You might have, you know, more technical disciplines that you might have requirements for, but generally speaking, you welcome applications from any discipline for most roles. Is that kind of for you, Laura and Imogen? Would you say that's similar for you as well? Do you have some roles where you do kind of need a certain background, or do you welcome applications from everyone when you're advertising?
With us, our graduate roles will accept any degree, I think. I know people who've joined who've had degrees in Spanish, French, costume design, I think might have been one, and they've all succeeded. So really any degree can come and join us. So very open.
That's great to hear, yeah. And it's lots of nods. And I imagine it gives quite a nice perspective and a nice blend of a workforce, right? You must meet some very interesting people.
I think as well, sorry. I think a lot of these roles as well, like they kind of encourage a broad background, like a broad kind of degree background. So obviously something like tech, you might think that a lot of the people in our tech team might have computer science backgrounds or computing or like maths, but that's not the case at all. Loads of people have like history backgrounds. I've got a biology background, like, you know, literally from any walk of degrees, you know, like it doesn't really matter what subject you studied, because especially with all of the degrees, they're very transferable skills. You know, it's things like being able to write a report, or, you know, that's your dissertation, like tick. Being able to do a presentation, that's client meetings, like tick. That's, I think, really any background. I would really encourage people not to look at their degree as limiting. Like the point of doing a degree is to open doors for yourself. So use it for that, you know. No company is going to go, oh, you've done a biology degree, so you need to work in a lab. Like that's not how it works. You've done a biology degree, so you've got transferable skills, because you can see that like the human, you know, the kind of human internal systems, you can translate that into an IT infrastructure. Like it's all about that kind of transferable.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, so well put, you know, and it's a message I think everyone, again, lots of nods, is desperate to stretch and stress, apologies. You know, you want to look at your own skills and what it is you have to offer that role. So I imagine this is the point where you would be looking at that, you know, open up your kind of, broaden your search, if you like, have a look at stuff. You want to have a look for things that you're interested in, you're passionate about, what grabs your attention, and not be kind of focused in on where that company sits within the sector necessarily, or kind of the kind of stereotypes that are around that. This might be a good point to ask then, how a student or a graduate would approach their application and really sell that. So, because there might be a confidence behind that, you know, I think if I'm a music graduate, if I wanted to go for a role that was outside of that altogether, how would I really get that application to stand out and sell for a role which maybe necessarily didn't sit within that kind of, not that you'd have a music department, but you know, that sort of background.
I think a really important thing that I did was my research on the industry. So even though I was applying for like a technology consulting role, I just researched the industry and kind of relevant, you know, important or interesting topics like RPA. And I remember I researched blockchain a lot. I don't do anything with blockchain in my job, but by researching it, when I was applying, I could kind of talk about that. And I remember even in my final interview, I spoke with the lovely guy who interviewed me. We were just chatting about it, and the fact that I had taken the time to research something and that he could see I was genuinely interested in this technology topic, even if it was kind of nothing to do with what I ended up doing in my day-to-day, it shows that you're passionate. And I think it's that passion coming through in your application when you're writing, instead of just saying what you maybe think they want to hear. Show yourself and your personality coming through, and I think that will set you apart from other people.
Thank you. That's such a good point. And it's often something I imagine people are a little bit apprehensive about. I think, you know, exposing yourself, you feel like it might need to be quite kind of academic or very strict examples, but you've got to show that personality in it as well to really say why you're the right person for that job.
Rhoda, just to build on that, you know, the advice we often give people when we talk to them one-on-one or in things like this is, when we're looking to recruit for our program, we're recruiting people. We're not recruiting your degree or your qualifications. So we want genuine people who can demonstrate they want to work for us. We don't expect you to have textbook answers, because we'll teach you that, because we do it differently anyway. So, but actually, the point Laura just made then on that research, that comes through. We can tell when somebody's looked into the industry, looked into the business, they know why they want to work for us, and they can demonstrate their transferable skills for that role. That is the key thing. That shines through. Don't work out what you think we want to hear, because we'll know that you're making it up. We're pretty good at it now.
This is such a good point. Yeah, and like you say, sorry, Imogen, do you want to give us a little bit?
Yeah, I just want to emphasize that having confidence is like such a big thing as well. Coming across, like as yourself, like we've both said, is really important, but also being confident in that and being really confident in yourself, it really comes across much better in a job interview. I found that I was really nervous before mine, and then I just made myself really excited instead of really nervous, and then that came across. I was excited to be there. I was excited to speak to everyone and get to know more about RSM when I was in my interview, and that seemed to come across really well. And being confident is just so important, because then like confidence is just like such a good skill to have, and any sort of skills within the job can be taught on the job, but confidence is one of them things where you need it before you walk in.
Yeah, a really important point, isn't it? You know, you can get in your own head with these things, but you've got to that stage in the interview, or you've been recruited for a very good reason, and it's because that company wants you, and having the confidence and just showing that enthusiasm, the rest you can learn. You've been hired as a person, and you know there'll be other bits around it. You're not expected to know everything from the day dot. Goodness, I wouldn't have got very far if that was the case. You know, that's something that lasts throughout your career, isn't it? You know, you need to start off somewhere. So thank you. Yeah, incredible points. I've got another question, sorry, just while we're on that. Let me just quickly read this. Okay, I think this is one for everyone. So are you looking for specific course modules related to that job in the application? And I guess to kind of expand on that, maybe do you want kind of reference to those things? I guess if you've done a module in a particular area for the job that you're applying for, do you want that to be mentioned when at application stage?
So I feel like if you were going for like an audit role or a role that you were going to do the ACA or one of those kind of professional qualifications where you've maybe done an accountancy degree, so you might have some exemptions, definitely mention that, and that would be useful. And probably in my application, I've probably mentioned more like projects, so less of like a specific module, but more like, okay, so we did in my final year, we had to do a group project where we made a video together and we had to kind of portray some complex scientific concepts to a non-scientific audience. So instead of talking about the module and saying I did an environmental science module, not that they don't care, but that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for you to tell them, I developed teamwork skills, I developed leadership skills, because I worked with a group of 4 people, I helped organize them, I helped make this really good thing that worked out really well. This thing didn't work well, and they do like knowing what didn't go well so that you can show that you can grow. Being able to show that you've got weakness and realizing that it's not a bad thing to have a weakness. Everyone has them. I was speaking to a partner the other day and he was saying, every single person has a weakness, and it's okay to completely say, do you know what, I'm not that good at that, but I am good at this. And you've got to remember the things that you are good at. So yeah, when it's relevant, call out maybe for like audit specific module names if that's relevant for like an exam exemption. But I think focus on the skills that those modules have given you and what that's taught you.
That's great, thank you. And it's a really important point as well about the like you mentioned, those weaknesses, and then just highlighting how you deal with that or what you do with that in a situation. Okay, I'm not very good at that, but this is how I use my skills to overcome it. It can often be something you want to bypass because you don't want to focus on those things, but absolutely not. It makes you human, and that's the person that you're looking for. Imogen, Cian, do you want to tell us a bit about, would you agree, or if you get anything else that you maybe want to add on to that?
Yeah, I think in specific modules, no, we wouldn't look for them in the application. I think, sure, to Laura's point, if somebody's done accountancy degree and then they come to do finance graduate program, then we'd look at the specific modules to check. Well, we do SEMA rather than ACCA, but we check exemptions that way. It is a really interesting point about that weaknesses thing, because it's up to you how you see that weakness. So for us, we'll always talk to you about it, because I 100% agree. Everybody has a weakness. Everyone has stuff they don't like doing. Everyone has stuff they try and avoid. Me personally, admin, hate it. Hate getting bogged down in the detail stuff. Avoid it at all costs. But what we then look for is, right, well, how aware are you of that? And what do you put in to counter it? Because that's showing actually that you know it, and you work on it and you change it. It'll always be there, because if you don't like doing something, you don't like doing something. It's just the way it is.
Absolutely life, isn't it? Yeah, and showing that emotional intelligence, but reflecting
exactly.
on, moving on. Yeah,
exactly.
Really nice to hear. That's stuff that I think everyone probably has in the back of their mind, but maybe not think of in a kind of application process and work setting. So nice to know these are aware and looking for that as well.
Yeah, don't come into the interview and say, my only weakness is perfection. We won't believe you. That's too cheesy.
Oh dear, it sounds like you're talking from experience. I'm sure that these comments are probably echoed for yourself. If you've got anything else that you want to kind of add on to that, it's do feel free to shout out. No.
Just yeah, like you say, I'm echoing what Laura and Cian have said.
Yeah,
like skills and experience, that's more important than a specific module, apart from in exemptions. But yeah, I'll just say that mainly focus on what you've developed and what skills you've got, rather than what like qualifications you have.
Yeah, quite. And I guess, you know, those things will be quite clearly set out in the job application, and the information, the company research you've all kind of referenced, all that stuff will influence how much you know about what it is that you can be highlighting around those things. One thing that I was interested in is your thoughts on, obviously this might be slightly more in the application process, but how important you find it for a student or graduate, if they're applying, to kind of what we would call the STAR technique, but, you know, giving examples, but also in a context of the role that they're applying for. So like placing themselves within that company and what, based on that example, what they can bring to the job. Is that something that would help an application kind of pop or stand out, or is it something you look for?
For us, we have like a few steps in our application process. So one of the first steps is a situational assessment. So we'll have like, well, actually there's a couple of steps in it, which is that, but that is really important to us, is like being able to put yourself in the shoes of someone who's doing our job and being able to like show how you would fare in that job. And it comes into that in like a written assessment, and then it comes in a visual assessment, and then it comes in the assessment centre as well. And in the assessment centre, you really need to show that you can fulfil that role. So providing examples of when you've done certain tasks or when you've shown certain skills is really important, and showing what maybe didn't go right and how you've overcame it is also equally as important too. And where you think like maybe you could really get and showing how you would combat that. I think that's some of the more important things to us.
Yeah, great, thank you. And would you say, sorry, I'll come to your other panelists just in a moment, but just on that experience side of things, one kind of myth bust that we often get asked is, you know, that tendency not to, which examples to use, and making sure that those examples are very specific and relevant and that sort of thing. Would you echo that kind of sentiment?
I would, to an extent. I think all experience can be used in an application, just as long as it like I put stuff about when I worked at Subway and Wetherspoons on my job application, but I made sure that was relevant by showing what skills it showed. Wrote more into situations I've been in where it overcame it, how the job had developed skills such as leadership and teamwork, and independence and autonomy and stuff like that. Obviously I won't need sandwich skills to work at RSM, so I would just say make sure it is slightly relevant at least.
I think there's a good point as well about kind of using what you've had before, because I think in a lot of these kind of professional services careers, I felt like, oh my gosh, I've not done an internship, I've not done a work placement in that kind of thing, I'm not going to be able to get a role. And I felt like, because I would always see those summer internships, and I remember, or placement years, and I would think, oh, I can't do it, I've got a biology background, why would they want to hire me? And I never managed to get a summer internship because I didn't get high enough in my first year to get onto one. Luckily first year didn't count, but but like it's okay to not have that, and as Imogen was saying, to use whatever you've got in a relevant way. So I used a lot of what I did like at school, like I was in a sports team, and I think that I just used, I kind of overused probably, but I just used the things that I'd learned there. You know, you can learn teamwork, you can learn leadership, and it's about bringing those forward and showing what you have learned. And I promise you, every single person has done these things, like has experiences that they could put to apply for any of the jobs that we're talking about today.
Yeah, I quite agree. And those scenarios and the different types of questions that you're looking for, the different types of recruitment processes, whether it's interview, you're going to get quite specific questions, or, you know, those assessment centres where you might be placed in a kind of looking for how you work with other people. They're all things, like you say, that you'll have come across in one way or another, whether it's just with uni or extracurricular or just kind of scenarios in life. You know, that it's worth bringing back to a point you've all made previously. You know, you're not expected to have a lifelong career's worth of experience at this point. This is an early career. You know, you're entering your first kind of proper job, probably full-time job. So It is important to remember that, but equally making the most of the opportunities that are there. So coming to these insight days, coming to these employer sessions, mention it if you're coming to apply. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but if you've said, look, I attended this session with X, Y, and Z, and I loved hearing about this, that, and the other, and that can be an important thing to show your proactivity as well. Great. Just to quickly, no other questions in the chat. Please do keep adding them in if you've got. They've been such great questions so far. I was interested just maybe to have a quick run through. I know we've all kind of touched on it, but maybe just for the kind of recording side of things, if you want to just at the time of recording, give us a quick run through of what you've got open at the moment and opening up, and the rough kind of timeframes and what they might expect in the recruitment process. Apologies for any duplication, but just to kind of put it all together to wrap up what you've got on offer at the moment.
We have, first of all, we have a Careers Insight Day on the 11th of November, and that's a virtual one, so I can email that across to you, Rona, to give to students who can come and attend that, that'll give more of an insight into what different careers we have. We have loads and loads of different roles across the country, open up for graduates and placements. So application wise, apply as soon as possible is my best advice. If we find the person who fits the role the best, we'll close applications, and so the best way is just to apply straight away. It was 4 rounds when I joined of different applications, so different assessments. So you do want to get started as soon as possible. My best advice, again, confidence. Just try and do a bit of research, stuff. We've got roles in internal audit, risk assurance, personal tax, corporate tax, audit, accounts and business advisory, VAT, capital allowance, tax assistance, outsourcing, technology risk, restructuring, corporate finance, everything under the sun. So just do a bit of research into what role that you would like, and if you do feel like you need a bit more clarity, you can always email me at imogen.milner@rsmuk.com, and I can get you in touch with someone who's in one of them service lines to maybe help guide you through what options are. So yeah.
I definitely, oh sorry, I was going to say I definitely second what you say, Imogen. Applying sooner rather than later is always the best option, because I think often companies do close when they, even though something might say it's open until the 21st of December, if they fill all the roles, if they happen to have a really strong early intake of graduates and everyone's actually meeting that standard where they're like, yeah, they're great, they will close early. At Mazars, we've got a really wide range of different things that are open, a lot of different types of audit and a load of different sectors, working with clients from kind of small to medium enterprises all the way up to the FTSE 10. So we've got a really wide range, and also across a load of different industries, so financial services, public and social sector. I can't actually remember them all, but we've got a really, really wide range of industries, not just in audit, but across the rest of the business. So any tax roles or any kind of outsourcing, payroll, financial advisory services, so kind of private wealth, financial planning. And then we've got kind of your pure consulting, so business management consulting, then risk consulting, and then technology consulting. And obviously I'm biased, but I love tech consulting. But we've got a really wide range of stuff. And yeah, I'd second what Imogen said as well, that you're welcome to get in touch with me. My LinkedIn is Laura Madden, so if you just search for me and it will say Mazars. I think there's only one Laura Madden at Mazars, so kind of feel free to message me, ask me any questions, and again I can kind of put you in touch with the people that can give probably better advice than I have. But yeah, I hope this has been helpful.
Thank you so much for the roundup. Yeah, and just a quick recap, Cian, if you don't mind, of everything that you're kind of got up and running at the moment.
Sure, no probs. So we'll be opening for applications at the end of October for graduates and for placements. So in terms of placements, it'll be in finance and in food technology. And then for graduates, it'll be like technology, product development, finance, HR, commercial, and manufacturing. We vary sometimes on numbers. Sometimes we take more, sometimes we take less. It all just depends on the candidate. So there's places available. Now, we typically open for 6 weeks, but we have been known to close quicker than that, because if we get enough candidates in the pool, then we close. So again, what the other two have said, get in quick, keep your eye on our website, apply as soon as it's done. In terms of the application process, it's fairly standard. Fill in a form, then some situational judgment questions, a bit of a psychometric test, a little bit of video reflection, and then we're into assessment centres in January. So we move fairly quickly ourselves. Again, I can be contacted on LinkedIn, or we do have a graduate inquiries mailbox, which I'll pop in the chat, which people can send inquiries to.
Thank you so much. That's great. And as just to echo what everyone said, we'll pop all those contact details over. The contact will be after the session for those that have attended, with all this sort of information. So don't feel like you've got to remember it all if you're listening in. And just a really nice little recap there of just the absolute breadth of things going on, and a rough idea of the deadline. I think it was quite clear that the applications, get your research in now, get your applications in now. It's going to be something that could turn around quite quickly, and the applications could very easily close early. Just before I round up, I do have one more question. So this is again for you, Cian, if you can. Are the applications open for international students as well?
They absolutely are, if the international students have a visa for the length of the programme as a minimum. We don't currently offer sponsorship for visas, so as long as they've got the right to work in the UK, absolutely.
Great, thank you so much. And again, that's where these contact information will come in really handy. And I imagine, Cian, and like the others as well, there'll be a lot of detail around that on the sites and the kind of graduate and employer student portals and things like that. But do just check it out and make sure you do a bit of research behind it. And to bolster all that, obviously, a plug for the career service, but we're here to help you with all of that. These jobs are probably advertising on My Career, which is the Newcastle Uni Jobs Board, but also we've heard that from the 3 different employers here with quite similar but slightly different kind of recruitment processes. So you will have kind of standard application forms, you might want to have your CV ready, you want to have like video interview practice, psychometric testing. They're all very slightly different, so you'll have the chance to come and talk to us, read over your application just to get a bit of feedback, or there's loads of practice interview things on the website and stuff like that. So do utilise all of that, and I'm sure there's a lot of resources on your websites as well. I'm going to finish up just with a nice difficult question. You've probably mentioned this throughout the session, but if you can, give me just your top tip. What would be your top tip to anyone looking to apply for you? Just the one, and not duplicating something that someone else has said. So if you want to go first, that might save you a difficult answer.
I think my top tip would be, after you've done your research, pick the thing that like really connects to you about that role the most, and then be yourself while you're applying for it. And I think, I know we've mentioned it earlier, but don't say what they think you want to say. Say what you really think and give an opinion. They want to hear your opinion. So yeah, that would be my top tip, is show your personality and give an opinion.
Thanks, Laura. A good one, and we've covered it, but a really important one, and one that I think you all agreed with, right? It's so important to get yourself out, put yourself out there, don't be afraid. Imogen, Cian.
I would just say that you need to get yourself really excited for the interview. Don't be scared at all. Just everyone in that interview is human and will talk to you. So you just need to get yourself really excited and really enthusiastic about the job, and just show that in the interview, and it'll go down quite nicely, I think.
That's a good one. That's a good top tip as well. It's something that is so terrifying on the day. You can feel so ready for an interview and step through the threshold and suddenly get put in a spin, can't you? And if you've got that buzz and that energy and turn it into something exciting instead, then certainly from your personal experience, you found that it made the interview a much more pleasant experience, but also you clearly did very well from it as well. So yeah, good one. Thank you. Cian, what would yours be?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of something to say that hasn't been said by the other two. But I suppose, a big one, if you go to an assessment centre, don't walk out with regrets. Don't wish you'd said something, say it. If it's you, say it, because we want to see you and we want to recruit you. So that's it.
That's brilliant as well. Thank you. 3 excellent top tips. I really appreciate that being put on the spot like that as well. It's very easy to stew on things afterwards, isn't it? And what's done is done. And if you go in with that mindset, you're going to be yourself, just like Laura and Imogen have said, just be yourself, but, obviously within that professional context, but you're there to kind of see how you fit each other. And if you're not yourself, then I imagine it will make your working life an awful lot harder because you've not been yourself from the outset, and it could be quite detrimental to your application as well. Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm blown away by the top tips. Very good indeed. Well, thank you so much to all our panelists today. Really, really insightful to the sector, but also hopefully for anyone watching later on and anyone that's attending today, just to give a proper insight to the huge variety of locations and jobs that you can really get involved with within these companies alone. So we are coming to towards the end of the session, so we're going to stop the recording